Hello and welcome to Vibe Osmosis. How are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. Just kind of hanging out.
And go ahead and introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Kunt Pills. I am a singer-songwriter, I guess producer also. I make, I guess now I just say pop, experimental dance music kind of stuff. Yeah, I've kind of tried to keep it cute with that, yeah.
And you just played a show at the 11th Pavilion. Go ahead and explain some of the songs or lay down some of the songs that you performed.
Oh, well, I performed my single, I performed two singles, Stumbling and 115. I recently just dropped both of those on all platforms.
Yep.
And 115 is a 90s pop ballad, just maximalist, like pop. I keep saying the pop word. It's very, it's retro in its own taste.
For sure.
And I really like the little two-step I get going when I get to sing it. It's really fun to sing overall. And it's just kind of like about being, experiencing limerence, basically about a past like situation and it kind of keeping you up at night. And a fun fact about the song, as I say in the song, like each time, it's like 115, 214, 313, all that, I was actually up at those times when I was making the song. So I think that's kind of fun. And Stumbling is just about stumbling through life. It's one big kind of like, well, it is what it is kind of thing. And I talk about the Matrix in it a little bit, where I just feel like there's kind of like this simulation isn't really, it's a big thing. Sorry, I kind of ramble, but yeah.
No, do you believe in the Matrix?
I guess you could say so. I believe that there's like something happening, and I believe that there's something that we can all possibly like break through. I'm sorry, that's my family upstairs. They're pretty happy. But yeah, I guess everyone else, I don't know. I'm going to chalk it up to I don't know if I believe in the Matrix.
Well, I'm on
in
this.
the song, I say the Matrix is set up to fail, and it just feels like it's not a stable thing.
Right.
So they probably listen to me, are probably like, you sound dumb as fuck.
Well, I definitely believe that we have like this invisible war going on the internet, especially whenever it comes to like electronic rights, and especially about how business integrate technology to kind of replace human, and also how humans kind of have to kind of like stand in line in a formation to have like a industry or a corporation to even like operate. And it's a little interesting whenever you find out that there's people trying to make their jobs essentially taken over by their own technology. And that's also something I think about in music, where I'm like, yeah, to some degree there is AI in music, but there's still, I think, the big picture behind having like an actual performer, and finding that relatable. That's like kind of what makes that industry, I guess, thrive too.
I agree. I always say I like my music made by humans. I like made by people with like real experiences and not sourced experiences and sourced words put in an engine or sourced melodies, put in an engine to like, you know, be produced. I feel like the war against art right now, in the age of like technology and AI and whatnot, it just feels like it just comes off cheap.
Cheap, yeah. I can see that
It comes
too.
off very cheap, and it comes off ingenuine.
I can also say just too accessible towards where you realize like the effort and time it takes, I guess, to also put other stuff together, how that really comes together whenever you are the viewer. I think about this as like a young adult animation stuff. Like we wouldn't even like the stuff that didn't make it like on shows and stuff. Like whenever you're just going online to like see what these content creators were making out of the fact of like they were actually, you know, forming these different ideas and like expressing that too, especially like in the little character development and voices and stuff like that. There's aspects in like these AI TV shows where I'm like, okay, I can see the little lag behind maybe where maybe people aren't viewing this or really having this acceptable, maybe even.
It's like, personally, when it comes to like AI generated content, art, just anything, period, I think it's insulting to the viewer a little bit.
It's a little sarcastic, I feel, definitely.
It's like, yeah, exactly. It's very sarcastic. It's almost, I don't know. It just feels like they're insulting the viewer's intelligence, or the person consuming this art's intelligence, as if like what they would like to consume is something that can be completely came up with through, like, you know, it's just like a computer generated kind of.
I certainly agree, because now I do have like favorite artists where only all of their page, you know, will be just like AI or AI videos of like random stuff where I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous on like kind of how you came up with this prompt even too.
You know, even like filters and like the TikTok. Have you seen the like TikTok videos where people are kind of like, you know, I guess they like morph their, but it's like, it looks like deep fake stuff to me. To me, all AI just comes off like deep fake shit.
I do enjoy the random, like whenever I had Snapchat, I guess I really enjoy like the random like, filters and like stuff that they would provide whenever like promo was going on. That kind of stuff I do see a slight appeal, I guess, in the younger audience more so too, and also if you're just like a really bored adult.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely have like used the like AI TikTok filters to like see what I look like in like the different universe. But even then, I feel like that's like a watered down like idea of what's really happening
for sure
behind the scenes with like this new tech and this like virtual reality world that people are like slowly integrating into.
That's a really good point. And I want to get into astrological sign. What's your astro sign?
I'm a Leo.
And do you follow astrology?
Yes.
And what about the Leo sign do you think like resonates with you the most then?
Well, oh Lord, you just asked the one question that you should never ask a Leo.
Able to fire it up?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I just almost growled. I don't know. I think it's probably just like I think all Leos are creative and like kind of, I think they naturally stand out. And that's something I really resonate with. Even when I was younger, I was kind of always like a little bit of an attention whore. So, you know.
You also find it easy to like recluse and like not like, I don't know, do anything all day.
Yeah, on the flip side of being a Leo, I also have an Aquarius moon.
Oh.
So, like, and that's like the sister sign of Leos, where basically I definitely am a recluse. I stay at home. Like I'm out for like 3 days, and like I usually make sure I have like a purpose to be out of the house, which means like a performance or like to meet people, like shit like that. And then I go back home and I stay like inside for like 2 weeks to recover from that 3 days I was out. But when I'm out, it's like, I'm just happy to be there. But I also am not. I'm fairly shy. I think my Leo-ness comes out more on stage.
Yeah, yeah. And also I think it's a little bit easier to, I guess, get into that world of your music and like your art whenever you're like able to like step outside of that and also like enjoy, I guess, the comforts of new interactions or discovering new stuff and getting out there too.
Yeah, I like take what I pick up outside and bring it home, and then like immediately like try to jump into the studio or like feel inspired by something. And that's kind of like what kind of like, yeah, like I'm pretty inspired at home, but then I'll get to a point where like being a hermit just milks me dry of all of my like ideas, and so I have to like go outside and experience new shit to be like, oh crap, here's this thing that I can write a song about. Overall it's just like it's a nice process, because that way I don't really burn myself out on interaction.
Yeah.
I'm just like talking.
And outside of the Matrix, do you have like a favorite movie, favorite show right now?
A favorite movie or favorite show right now? Okay, so right now, me and my best friend are watching The L Word. And I'm kind of obsessed with it.
The old L Word was the hit.
Yeah, it's not my favorite show. I can't tell if I can like pick my favorite show. I have like comfort shows. Like I'm a huge
definitely
like DC stan. So like I loved the show like Young Justice growing up, but then I'm also like a huge Glee stan.
Yeah, I'm a fan. I always bring up how Ryan Murphy and like Brad like kind of fucked me up on my young generation to like have me, I don't know, be so invested in such bad kind of TV shows too.
It's really shown. Like it really shows in their comedy now. I'm like, oh crap. But yeah.
And also callers. Do you have like any callers that associate with you, or like a favorite one that like you'd never pass up?
Like colors?
Mm-hmm.
So my favorite color personally is purple, but my favorite color to wear is pink.
Yeah, pink is always solid. And what about purple, you think? Like, has it always been purple for you?
Actually, no. Before purple, it was gray.
Gray.
Which is odd, but I kind of like, for me, it's just being the in-between. So, like, I like gray because it was, the mix of black and white.
Yeah.
And I like purple because it was, like, the mix of blue and red. So I was just kind of like, okay. It works for me. I like the gradients that come with it and, like, all different shades of it. Mainly lavender, though.
Whenever I was younger, and, like, high school or junior high, I had, like, painted my room, like one wall was red, one wall was gray, one wall was like a darker red or something, and it just really kept like that dingy kind of vibe, especially whenever I was like watching movies or starting to like really get into working on music in my bedroom. Did you ever go through like a phase of just like working on your own stuff inside your room, or is that how you operate now?
Oh, I still do. I make everything in my room. Like, I've slept with my entire studio on my bed. Like around me, I look like, okay, so do you know the picture of like MIA in like the bed with like her keyboard and headphones and all this? It regularly ends up giving that. Like I said, I'm a huge hermit, so like I just recently put my studio on like a desk, but I'm usually like sleeping like less than a foot away from my laptop and like keyboard and stuff. It's just always been like that, because I rarely had like a desk, and I used to like draw a lot, so I wouldn't want to like move places for my stuff to like draw on my desk, so I've just put everything on my bed. Um, so yeah, I am very much a bedroom producer.
Bedroom projects.
Yeah.
And also like with bedroom projects, do you kind of find it easier to like build tracks on, or do you kind of still like look forward to, hearing it out through speakers, getting the live feel for it, or does that kind of like not really affect you whenever you're working on a track?
Actually, like, okay, so I tend to like get a live reaction of how my stuff sounds like in like a live setting at the same time as everyone else. So like hearing my stuff on PA systems after I've been like listening to it like in my like room for like the last like months.
Yeah,
So it just kind of like it's usually pretty surprising to me how good it will sound.
good.
Like it really for me it validates my like mixing skills because
That
I
work.
usually mix and master most of my stuff or do what I think is mix and mastering. Don't look too deep into it. Um, but yeah, like I don't know, it does give it a different feel. I usually produce in headphones and whatnot, and then kind of like I'll try to play it in like the car or like in my friend's like speaker or whatever. But I won't know how it like sounds on like big speakers and stuff until like a live setting. But I am excited for when I can like convert to like doing stuff in studios. I worry that making all my music in like my room may hinder me when it comes time to like work in like a studio setting with other artists. So
True, true.
it's
I think it kind of has like a best of both worlds. Like I can like recall like coming out of like recording stuff in the basement, just like having speakers and stuff everywhere, or like having stuff like in the studio where you're playing kind of like the loudest that you'd probably be playing for like an actual like group of people, and then like try to record like what that's like compared to like you're taking it track by track and also like really hearing I guess the difference or getting that space too. And I also feel like with the whole mixing thing too, like everybody does have a different kind of process as far as like if they're mixing in more of like trying to blend or really like autonomy where stuff comes in, stuff comes out, where the focus is, or trying to really sharpen up, I guess, the no clipping or no weird levels. I feel like there is some ways of blending out your sound, and then there's also just like adjusting, I guess, to what makes the track sound, I guess, appealing for
yeah,
you and for others too. I find it really interesting whenever you find other artists that can like make stuff on their phone that has honest like almost no mixing to it, and it sound just like a straight up um produced instrumental per se, you know?
yeah. Uh, that I've because I peeped that too, and I'm like, okay. It kind of helps me not overthink mixing.
Right, right.
Like when I see that, like it's when I see like songs that aren't properly in quotations mixed, like go viral or get like really pushed, and it's just like a song some kid made, like with
True.
their Focusrite mic, like I start to really think like, okay, so the listener, the audience does not care about how well mixed this is. I think musicians can fall into a trap of only listening to other musicians talk about music. You know what I mean?
For
And forget that
sure.
there are people who don't make music don't care how music is made sometimes.
I
And
definitely
that's
agree. It's not necessarily like a way of how it was made, it's like how it was given and how it was like formed or ended up to
yes.
you. And I think about that about like old records and stuff too, because like you can fall in love with like old records and and tapes, and it still have like the maybe like a lo-fi sound or like a different kind of feel than what you're maybe getting from like a Beyonce record per se.
Right. For the mix, like, I think if you can afford to get like amazing, like pro mixing, go for it. You know what I mean? But if you can't, and like you just, you know, like I like YouTube, you know, YouTube can teach you a lot. Just to get your stuff out, don't stress. Like in this new age of music and how things are like moving, I think the bedroom artists and their abilities, Lord, they are having so much fun up there. But yeah, like the average musician who doesn't have like, you know, training or like the best stuff or all that type of stuff, I think you can still make great art. And I don't know, mixing is kind of like, meh.
Oh, I was also thinking about this because there's lots of young artists out there that you see on like American Idol or whatever, but that they say have like no vocal training, but to some degree they sing along and play music, or they use YouTube to teach them vocal exercises or stuff. And there's a lot of that where I'm like, okay, like maybe you don't always have to have like a director or a coach, because there is online that teaches you so much about how to at least start getting in the use of practicing and developing, I guess, a voice too. I was wondering in your music, when did you kind of realize this is what I want to do with my voice as far as like effects, style, and also singer songwriter stuff?
So I would say I was really early in producing, and I never had like proper stuff ever. I was using some like computer headphone, like headset thing.
Okay.
Early, like first SoundCloud stuff ever. And I don't know, something of okay, so I love Charlie XCX. Everyone knows that. Like I'm a huge Charlie son.
Me
but
too.
I'm also like a huge Bjork son. And I love layering. So before I had like I was using like FL Studio, and I didn't have like a proper auto-tune plugin that I thought was like sufficient. But I had this weird like kind of like monstery, like wishy growly like accent thing that I was doing in music then. And it was fun because I was listening to a lot of like, you know, really weird like Bjork stuff, Coco Rossi, like all that type. And I found this plugin called like Carol B that I was obsessed with. That was like my favorite like tuning plugin. And from that point on, I kind of like figured out that I could do a lot more stuff with my voice. If I like I've got a tuning pedal on right now, just because I don't like taking it off because it just sounds fun. But like, I don't know. I just think it's fun what the sound of pitch correction does to vocals, you know. And I don't think it just changes bad vocals to good ones. I feel like in order to get a, I don't know, aesthetically pleasing sound out of them, you do have to have some ear of melody, and then also like an idea of how to like modulate your voice to get the desired effect. So
that's a really good point. I was messing around with the TC Helicon earlier this morning, and I was kind of messing with like the different robot tunes, the chromatics, and like and the shifts, and I was just like, even to kind of focus on how you want that effect to come out, you kind of have to place the microphone to a specific way to like get that I guess more either robotic or more of like that harmonic sound too. And that's also one thing I think with like rap and hip hop music, where you see autotune more in music or in the beats, they're so focused on that kind of what that is doing for that voice. And and that's one thing I think is a little bit different whenever you're messing with like alternative music that uses autotune or like vocoder and that kind of stuff.
I feel like hip hop does not hip hop and like rap right now doesn't get enough credit in the its, I guess, impact on the war against auto-tune and the war against vocal effects. And I feel like this is something I'm like fairly passionate about.
Whenever I was younger, I had a Digitech vocal, and it could just layer up effects, and I would always mess with the with like the feedbacks of the echo and everything. And I remember my friends, after I'd play a set here and there, or like go to like Jerry's Pizza and play on a Friday night or something, and they would be like, you don't think that you're using like too much effects or echo and stuff, because like I couldn't always hear like the words that you were saying, but I dig the vibe and like the sound and like how that came out. I just don't necessarily know what I was hearing, and I was like, if you dig the music, then like, why are you questioning it?
Right, like if you like it.
Yeah. like I don't even know what I said majority of the time.
Actually, same. There's tons of like songs that I have where I'm like, I couldn't tell you what the hell I was talking about for the life of me. But when it comes to vocal effects, I will say that I've had to like work on my singing, like phonetically and like with enunciation, because I started being a little bit more of a lyrically driven artist. On my first couple projects, I won't say I was like, I don't think I was feeling in the music. So like I was just going at it. A lot of stuff was just like one take. Like
that's the best way.
Through. But then like as I got older, but like I wasn't doing a lot of writing, so there's a lot of stuff that I truly was like gibberishing on, because I was like trying to give rhymes, you know, like I would think I was really the Bjork doll, like I'm thinking I was giving that. And it's not that it's bad, but it was just me like trying to find like my musical personality in a way. But now, especially since I write a lot more pop music, the lyrics kind of have to be heard. And like I've written and produced a lot of the songs that are going to be on my new project, to be sung fairly clearly, and for the lyrics to be like known and broken down, you know. So I've, you know, kind of changed my like singing voice in that way to work, while still, you know, staying true to like my original sound with the tuning and reverb stuff and just layering. I love layering vocals. I think that's like cutting vocals is my favorite thing in the world. Like almost more than producing. So I don't know. I feel like it's just kind of like it's an interesting thing. Vocal effects.
No, I know whenever like we had this show out in Chicago, you also played some of that newer music, and I'm pretty sure not all the songs that you did at that show is out there still, right?
Yeah, no. I've been playing a lot of my unreleased stuff to kind of test run it to audiences and see, you know, who responds to what the most. But for the most part, I have the bulk of my project, Kunt Pills, self-titled, finished, and I'm just still deciding on when I want to drop it. You know, I was thinking around my birthday, but my friend was like, I don't know, girl, not your birthday. Like, you're going to want to party, and I'm turning 21. So, yeah, you're right. Because they know, they're like, you were going to be in promo mode all day. Girl, no. But
that's true.
I'm still deciding. And, yeah, a lot of it, I try to make every set kind of split down the middle on, you know, songs that are out on streaming and all that, and then songs that aren't, you know, that are supposed to get people like pumped, like, oh, okay, like, what's this? I want to hear this again. And I'm like, girl, just keep watching, like, you know, stay tuned. It gives people a reason to stick around, in my head. Some people will say that's dumb. I don't care, but I just really like, and also every time I have a set, I look at the old music I have and what I can perform, and like, I'm like, I don't know, the new songs are crafted to be sung, so I am singing those. So yeah, I don't know, but I did just drop the two songs, Stumbling and 115. Those weren't out when we played in Chicago.
Yeah, you're right.
Now those are two songs that people really, really take to. So I'm like, okay, period. I really like that. So, but yeah.
Now I know that you have a couple more shows lined up for this year. You want to go ahead and mention those?
Actually, so okay, I have one in Chicago for a Pride Fest that I'm going to be playing on June 30th. And honestly, after that, it's pretty much to be announced. I'm thinking of throwing a couple shows of my own here in Dayton. Just trying to like get word from venues and stuff. I'm kind of thinking of maybe doing a release party, but no promises because, you know, stuff just doesn't always work out. But if you really fuck with me and you're out in Chicago at that time, yeah, come on down and see the dog give it.
and all right, so I guess we'll get right back to your music. How long have you been making music?
How long have I been making music? I would probably say since about 2015, maybe. Yeah, 2015. I'm not gonna do the math on how many years that was ago because I can't do math.
We're going on like 8 years or so now.
Yeah. So yeah, holy shit. I haven't said. In my head, I'm still like, yeah, about 3 years ago. You're like 8 years. I'm like, damn. Yeah, probably about 2015. I was just kind of like fooling around. I was always into music though. Like when I was in 5th grade, I used to get on those like music maker website thingies and like play with like the pre-recorded like loops and shit. I was always like obsessed with like the process of making music. I never didn't have FL Studio like on my laptop, but when I actually started using it and learning how to use it was 2015, oddly enough.
Yeah, so when do you think that like you started to, I guess, craft or become more of a master of your craft to form what Kunt Pills is today? How did Kunt Pills become a thing?
Oh my god, Kunt Pills. So before I was Kunt Pills, my name was Bjork's Right Tit.
Nice.
or like Bjork's Extra Pinky. It was that. Those two were my. But I was scared I was gonna get like a cease and desist.
Ah.
So, and I was like, if I get a cease and desist from Bjork, I'm gonna cry. So, I mean, I'm not that important to get a cease and desist. She probably would have never found me. But either way.
Yeah, if you blown up, they'd be like, oh fuck.
Right. So I was like, never mind. And I was just like looking for a name and everything. And I was like, there was like, Kunt Pills came because I was taking a lot of like meds during like 2020. Like it was like 2019, 2020. I was going through a lot, and the music seemed to have gotten better. It was like taking a turn, you know. And yeah, I just started like going a little bit more like techno. I went very techno, and then I started like recording vocals, which was something that I was like kind of always, all my vocals prior to that were super reverbed, super affected. I wasn't really saying anything. Like it was all gibberish, and I loved it. But in 2020, I actually started talking about shit, and I don't know. I started like submitting stuff to like different small like labels, little hyperpop labels and stuff. I always got rejected. What? I mean, I just kind of, yeah. I started reaching out to artists. I was like really small, but I had like these big, like, I mean, I still am. But at the time, I was like, I'm just gonna go to the biggest. I'm just gonna go to like the coolest person I like follow, and be like, hey, let me make a beat for you. And I don't know. It's just from there I was like, period. And it wasn't until like maybe this year and last year where I started like performing, and then I took it really seriously because I was like, holy shit, I'm kind of good at this. So yeah, Kunt Pills was just like it was just the effects of being at home a lot.
I get that.
You know. quarantine kind of really did birth. That was my artist development era. Let's just say that. You know, I released the most music then.
Not to differentiate or say like there's a big difference, but even as a queer artist as yourself, did you ever face, I guess, your own troubles as far as like making music or as like being associated, like any groups or playing or like that kind of anxious feeling, or did you have any of that, or were you completely supported with music and everything?
Well, like, okay. Can you clarify what you mean by that question? Like, was there like pushback for me making music because I was queer?
For sure.
Um, no, not really. I mean, I had mostly queer friends. The worst thing that you could like, in the process of like getting good at music, you just know your stuff is bad. Thank
True.
God I had friends around me who were willing to lie to me and like be like, holy shit, because they saw the potential. But like, not really. I think, okay, the biggest issue I had was just feeling as if my place here in Dayton, in like the music scene, like I didn't really know if I had a place here. I'm still trying to find like my footing. I just started performing here. Every other time I've performed, it's probably been like, it's been in Chicago, to be honest, because I just really love that city, and that was where I really was test running like my stuff, because I like knew I was like, people are a lot more open minded out here.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
You know, Ohio can be a little bit indie biased
and not acceptable for like electronic and like performative shows. I feel, I don't know.
Yeah,
that's my bias on it.
Electronic, let alone black queer
Yeah.
electronica. Like, you know, I make music for black queer weirdos, okay?
Amen.
I make music for
I'm one of them.
Right. You know, like people who, yeah, just who get it, who love to dance. I love people who love to dance and who enjoy a good pop song, you know, but are also allowed to say the N-word. You know, like, I make music for those people. And I make music for people who enjoyed electronic music growing up and have like a lot of, I don't know, it's just like, there's a lot of different influences in my music that I feel like people my age really connect to, because it's as if you took the things that we grew up listening to with our parents and stuff and then injected it with the stuff that we enjoyed in our adolescence and then wrapped it up in, you know, a package that's you know, consumable for us now, if that makes sense. That's how I feel like my music is kind of like made. I take, you know, I love New Jack Swing and that era of music, and because that's what I was listening to in the car with my parents, and like growing up, like all my family, like they love R&B and stuff like that. So do I, but I also love a lot of Midwest emo, a lot of techno, and a lot of pop music. It's just like a lot of stuff happening. And so I feel like there's something people can like in my music that's a little bit for everyone, but I mainly make stuff for like black queer people. And the pushback I get is more the fact that people don't dance.
Yeah.
You know?
So understand.
Like, I'm not gonna say it's like, I mean, I would love to be able to sit here and be like, my stuff is automatically danceable, because it's not. But I do feel like here there's a little bit more of a stigma or a like separation in taste, you know, where people are like, well, I specifically like this type of music and that's the only music I dance to. I can only listen to this and just sit and watch it happen in front of me. Yeah. You know, where it's like, you can bop your head, you can, you know, tap your foot. And I feel like it's that for every like musician. If I go to an indie show or, you know, metal, I can still get my like life from the show, regardless of if that's actually what I, you know, listen to regularly. And I feel like in places like Chicago, you don't have to worry about that, I feel. and then when I
Definitely
come
agree
back
with you
here
on that.
perform. But then again, I'm just not doing shows here, so let me not generalize. I mean,
Too much.
yeah,
There's definitely a slight pushback I feel on some of the electronic aspects. Um, Younger, whenever like I would be playing music with my friends and we'd have like our high school buddies come over to like hang out, enjoy the party of us like playing music and stuff. That I totally remember there'd be moments where after we'd be jamming on the pianos and like singing songs and stuff, the get the whole that's gay, or I can't believe you guys are doing this and all that kind of stuff. And it didn't necessarily like stop us from playing, but there was still always that kind of like, oh, this is like weird, it's different, so obviously I'm gonna like try and shut it down too. But
yeah,
I think it's a little interesting on throughout the development throughout that time, like the kind of people that went on full circle, like, oh, I didn't understand like what you guys were doing back then, but I get it now because you're still doing it today.
I
And that's where I'm like,
definitely get
wow, like,
that.
I mean, I'm kind of glad I didn't ever like have like, this is maybe not for everybody, so I'm gonna just stop, you know?
I think I had that feeling here. I never thought I was gonna make it out of Dayton with my music, so that's why I made it such a like big deal to keep, like take my stuff to Chicago for a little bit. But I definitely feel that I didn't get the. I was already getting that's gay for other stuff.
Right. A fact.
So no one really cared about the music, and nor did they really know. Like when I wasn't making music in like a big communal space. I mean, I was good friends with some artists in like the area at the time, but I mean, like we weren't really making music together, like because I was still pretty new to stuff.
Cool, I see.
And huh?
I see. So before you weren't ever really collaborating or trying to jam with other people too.
I would at times, but it wasn't something that I was really allowed. Not allowed, but I wasn't just like involved in deep,
Right. I get
deeply.
you. Yeah.
And like I kind of was at home all the time making my music and just showing it to like my friends and family and stuff like that. So I didn't really get much flack for it, especially online, since it was kind of like an anonymous kind of thing. I was just like a spam page. But over time, I still don't really get much flack for the music, but people do see, they're like, oh shit, I have no choice but to take this seriously now because she's performing here and here and da 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 da, whereas before it was just kind of like this thing where people are kind of like, oh, you make music, oh, how quaint, and it's just like people don't start to care about you until they see other people do. So yeah, that's just, to me, that's tea. I don't know. I feel like I've seen a change in how people perceive my music now that other people have started paying attention.
That's a really good point too. And to get back into your music, I know that you mentioned one of your favorite parts is like editing the vocals and stuff, but what's some of your process on coming up with the track and like writing the lyrics, or do you go on trying to like develop your sound and then you find your song? How does it work for you?
So I'll usually have like some chords, like laid down in like a 4-bar loop or whatever, that I kind of like really attached to, and I'm like, okay. So then I started like recording gibberish and a like little top line melody, some whatever, and then I'll like kind of there'll always be like some sort of like phrase or word in there that's hook worthy that I then extract out, and then I start to write something a little bit more refined around it, and I basically like chip at the gibberish until I get like a lyric, and by that point I'm kind of like trying to fill out the song, and I try to work really like linearly with like trying to produce and not just getting in the habit of like making a beat and then recording. At times, sometimes I'll like write a song weeks before or something, or just have one written prior, and then I'll just kind of like insert it into a beat that I just made that I didn't intend on recording on, but it fits. That's always fun. But then I just do a lot of like cutting. I try to make it like a one night process, not to like make a full song, but I'll try to like get the bones and meat of a song like within a night, you know, and then chip at it over time, and then I have to like give myself a break and listen to it again later on, and then like get into it. So, you know.
That's really interesting because whenever now, like if I'm making music on my computer, it's a lot different than like trying to get up there and just like plug everything up and like get songs and sound out. But whenever I'm working music on my computer, I find that I take it as like the mentality of like getting into the studio and only having a certain limited time. I'm like, okay, drums, bass, guitar, or drums, and then synthesizer, and try to build the bass and the guitar or whatever in the pockets. And then like once I have that instrumental, I'm like, okay, I can add the vocals or try to like write one line and see if like I can make a song within the one line that I wrote. And I've like think about it as like I'm making it to get it out of my hands, but also like finding that therapeutic feeling of like developing and working on that track for, you know, that hour, and then having like a demo by the time it's done. And there are times whenever I'm like, yeah, that instrumental or that development like was something like maybe I want to like save and like go back to. And then there's also like, that idea was really cool, I want to move on forward, you know, and try to see if I make something better, cooler, different.
Yeah, I definitely do that too. I'll start a project and then kind of like know that I'm already getting fatigued from trying to figure out where to go from it, and so I'll leave it alone and then come back to it, and then that's when the big full song gets made. And I'm kind of like, oh, okay, period. Like I try to just not wait, but I really push myself to get to that like flow state. And if I don't hit like the flow state with music, then I'm kind of like, okay. But I have to get like really hyped and like excited about the song. That's when I know like I'm doing something right, you know?
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely moments whenever I'm like, that wasn't cool, and then I'll play it outside of my computer once I give it a couple like moments to breathe, because I've been like listening to it back to back, like not giving myself like any break. It's just like slammed in my ear until I'm done with the song. So then, like, you know, once you finally get to hear it out loud, that's when I was like, okay, like that's what the fuck I was doing. Like that was all right. And I kind of wondered, like, whenever you're building like a beat, you're kind of like, that beat maybe not that cool, or I couldn't do something with that, and then until you hear it out and you're like, oh shit, like that works.
Like, yeah, definitely. I'll like get blinded by like an original idea and then fail to see the one like staring at me. So I'm like, oh, okay. I usually have to surrender. It's always like me trying to like me setting up chords to make like a sad song and then ending up with like a pop like banger. And I'm like, fuck. Or like trying to make a pop song but consistently going for like more angsty melodies, and I'm like, shit. it irks me, but I kind of just have to like go with the flow and be like, okay, whatever, if that's what I want to make right now.
Yeah, I feel like I've gone through this moment, like this like phase maybe. I say this moment is like like I think I'm going for a minimalistic idea, but then by the time that I'm done with the track, it has like 12 plus tracks with editing, and I'm like, okay, like that wasn't so minimalistic as far as just having like drums, bass, and guitar, and like maybe one piano. And there are like, I feel like tracks that you really appreciate when there is a lot in the mix, and you kind of have this way of like separating whenever it gets busy per se. I kind of wondered, do you like build up those sounds and find out that's whenever the sound needs to get pulled in? I can tell from that last track you posted on Bandcamp where there was some structure or progression too?
I kind of like. I feel songs kind of build up to a momentum. I really try to focus on hooks and choruses. Um, I try to make those hit as hard as like possible. So when I'm making like a beat, I'll make like the 4 bars that's like the meat of the chorus that I want to be like the most euphoric and like heavy part of the song, and kind of like chip it that structure it in like the typical like format of a like in song structure, I guess.
Right.
And kind of like just take out certain elements based on every single like piece of the song has to have like a reason it's there to like like what feeling does it add into the song. Like I'm good for like throwing in a string. I will throw in some strings in like a second if I want a song to like feel like it's truly elevating. I'm like, girl, give me a string or a horn. I don't care how minified it sounds. Like just give it to me. Or like any sort of like really deep like sub bass, that type of stuff. Like I don't know, like I just kind of, if anything, I feel like when producing, stuff can hit a little bit harder when you've got a lot less happening in the mix, and it's like the contrast. I focus on contrast when it comes to like producing. So if I want like the lyrics of the chorus to like really hit, I'll build less where the chorus happens, and then in the verses, that's when I'll have the most happen instrumentally, and all that jazzy stuff. So yeah, I don't know. I guess I kind of do that.
Here goes to the famous Vibe Osmosis question right here. Okay, if you were stranded on an island and you could take one thing with you, what would you bring?
If I was stranded on an island, and I could bring one thing with me. Damn, that's a hard question. I would probably bring a sketchbook.
Ooh, sketchbook.
And a pen.
Because then at least you could journal your experience as well and draw,
right. And
make
so when
songs.
they find my body, they can like sell my book. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I would take a journal.
And I guess this one's like more on my end. An animated cartoon show character that you would like most represent with or identify with.
A cartoon character that I most identify with. Ooh. Oh my god. Okay, one sec. Give me like 1 second. I need to deliberate like 1 sec. I have to ask someone.
Yeah, that's worthy. Like, what would they say?
Okay, I'm back. I got an answer. Okay, the most recent Looney Tunes reboot. I mean, not recent Looney Tunes reboot, but the last one, Lola Bunny from Looney Tunes.
Lola Bunny, like the one that's recently on HBO Max.
Maybe not the one that's maybe it's the one where she's her funniest.
Yeah, that's a classic one. Were you ever a fan of the baby version? Whenever they're like, yeah, baby Looney Tunes.
Oh yeah, definitely. I was definitely a baby Looney Tunes fan, 100%.
I still think about how those were much simpler days.
An alternative answer for the cartoon character question.
Yes.
Number 4 from Kids Next Door.
Oh, whoa, number 4. Yeah, Kids Next Door. That was one of those hits.
Yeah.
Okay, now here it goes back to the show. So, favorite artists, musicians that you want to be, or like you want to show after this interview.
That I would like to have a show with.
Like shout out for me to play.
Oh, shout out. Oh, they gotta be famous artists too.
Yeah.
Can I say some of my friends?
Yeah. Anybody that I can look up and add.
Okay. definitely stream Docs, DOCX, Chloe Hotline,
Yeah.
Indigo Heaven, and Rilo.
Okay.
Those are some amazing artists right now. Titmouse also, and then people that have like Push and stuff right now. I've been listening to a lot of honestly Britney. A lot of Britney. I'm always listening to Britney.
Nothing wrong with that.
And yeah. I would say Kate.
And
a lot of Madonna.
And also, here's I guess one that I kind of forgot too. Who's your favorite? What's your favorite album of all time?
Favorite album of all time? Probably Homogenic by Bjork or The Dreaming by Kate Bush.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to join Vibe Osmosis. It's been really good.
Oh, no problem. I had a really good time. This was fun.
And I'll definitely keep you updated on this episode and the information. Hopefully it's a good rest of your day as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.